Testing the sound in the breezeway. Does that sound okay out there? The speakers, okay, you can hear? Okay, over at the kitchen? Yeah, great. Okay, this is the final day of our Abhayagiri 25th anniversary retreat. People are slowly coming together, gathering. It's another beautiful day. It'll probably be a bit warm later on. Also, Luang Cha's birthday. And this morning I've allocated roughly 15 minutes for closing announcements, so the schedule will be moved forward a little bit in terms of the morning reflection, everything else. We'll be having Kathy giving closing announcements. So it's turned out to be a good retreat and a lot of appreciation from people worldwide. Yeah, if we, just after 8:30, looks like everybody's come together. So I'll pass it over to Kathy for the closing announcements, and please, take all the time you need.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to just reach over to my computer because I want to look at the Zoom room, so I'm going to change the view to gallery so I can see everybody. Can you all hear me okay? Good. Welcome. I haven't had a chance to look at you too much in the Zoom room. And so I do have a few announcements for people in our outside Dhamma hall and the Zoom room mainly, and then the Dhamma hall inside is filled as well. So it's just so lovely to be here at this point and be able to mostly thank people. It shouldn't take 15 minutes, but I do have a sort of logistical closing announcements as well. And this is the final day of the Abhayagiri 25th anniversary retreat. I would say that that we have thoroughly commemorated and celebrated the 25th year of Abhayagiri Monastery. It was such a pleasure to be here during this time. And this afternoon, the schedule changes. We have a bhikkhu ordination from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, California time. You're all invited. All of you in the Zoom room will be zooming that in. And I wanted to let you know that on the retreat information page, there's some closing information. And there's some information included there, information about dana donation in support of Abhayagiri Monastery. And if you have any questions, that you can go ahead and email me, and my email address is also on the retreat information page. And that page will continue to be available ongoing for at least a while. And also to let you know that the retreat teachings continue to be available on the Abhayagiri YouTube channel. And that we hope that you enjoyed the Abhayagiri 25th anniversary commemoration slideshow. And Ajahn Yaniko, are we going to keep that link available for the retreatants?
Yeah.
Great. So that link continues to be available, but we're asking that it's a private slideshow that was created just for the retreat. So if you could just keep that for retreatants only, we'd appreciate that. And we hope that you enjoyed the slideshow and the retreat. So really I want to just now express thanks to all of you, all of the yogis. There's been a very intimate core group of yogis from around the world who have participated over these 9 days. And so deep bow to all of you. Really, really happy to have been here with you all these days. And it's an intimate group. I could almost say your names. I feel like I know you all so well. So thank you so much for your practice. It's been a pleasure to practice with you. And I want to express my gratitude and thanks to the teachers, to Lumpur Pasanno, to Ajahn Kunadhammo, and to Ajahn Yaniko. Thank you so much for your teachings and just having me here as the retreat manager. And I wanted to say, just thank you so much, Debbie, for showing up the last couple of days and being here. We missed you, and it brought a lightness. I felt like the Ajahn mom was here when she arrived, so thank you. I wanted to also thank someone who's been just out of sight but next to me throughout the retreat, which is Doug, Doug has been offering tech. You won't be able to see him because Doug is the one who's been zooming the camera around, but there is no camera zoom on him. So just know he's here, and he's been doing the camera and the sound, and so deep bow gratitude to Doug for your work. Thank you. And I want to thank the lay community, the Abhayagiri lay community who's come up daily, or some who are staying here. And just thank you so much for all your service and all your work and all the offerings that have been brought in over the days of the retreat. Just deep gratitude. I feel like as the retreat manager, so supported by all of you. And I want to thank the kitchen crew. I don't know if this gets sort of piped into the kitchen, but I'm going to do it here.
It does.
And just so much gratitude to the kitchen crew, the Anagarikas and the lay residents for for showing up and just all this sort of extra celebration over this week. I feel so held and supported by the kitchen crew. And for me, it's been a great joy to get to know more the community over these days, and particularly to get to know and just feel like I have friends with the Thai community. Like, really, it's just been such a pleasure to be here and to get to know you all and just share laughter and flowers and so thank you so much. And lastly, I want to thank, and I don't know that any other than in the room are going to hear this, but I want to thank the Abhayagiri monastic community for just for welcoming me personally into and welcoming all of us, welcoming the Zoom retreat, the on-site retreat, welcoming all of us into their monastery, into their home over these days. I've just felt like an open-handed. We don't know what's going to happen here. This is the first time, yet this open-handed. We are here to support you and the retreat, and so I just deep bow gratitude to the monastic community and to everyone here at the Abhayagiri, and that's all from me. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Kathy, and also huge gratitude to Kathy and to Doug for doing the, I guess you would call it VJing, the video. And some people, as Kathy mentioned, Doug has been here doing the video. Sometimes people actually prefer to not be recognized, and Doug strikes me as that kind of person who likes to work behind the scenes and kind of help out, but go without the recognition. And so you never know how much to actually recognize somebody or do a shout out to somebody. And I've had it be where in the past where I've recognized someone and they've come to me afterwards and said, actually, I would prefer to not be recognized. So that's sometimes that's the case. It's very wonderful, actually, people wanting to come to the monastery and actually just work behind the scenes. And I'm sure it's like that in many institutions. You have the people who we visually see, and then you have all the whole people working behind the scenes to make it all happen. So of course it couldn't happen without that kind of thing happening. So yeah, great. We'll do our morning chanting, page 2.
Yoso Bhagava Arahant Samma Sambuddho, to the Blessed One, the Lord, who fully attained perfect enlightenment, Suakato Yena Bhagavata Dhammo, to the teaching which he expounded so well, Supatipanno yassa bhagavato sāvaka sangho, and to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, Dhammayam bhagavantang sadhammam Sangam. To these the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, Ime Sakare Yatarahang Aropite Apipujayama. We render with offerings a rightful homage. Sadhu no bande bhagava suchira parini buddhopi. It is well for us that the Blessed One, having attained liberation, Pachima Janatanukampamanasa, still had compassion for later generations. Ime sakare dugatapana karabuddhe patiganhatu. May these simple offerings be accepted. Namma kandi karata hitaya sukhaya, for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed One. Buddham Bhagavandam Abhivademi. I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him. Dhammam Namasami, I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho, the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Sangam Namami, I bow to the Sangha. Annamayang Buddhasa Bhagavato Pupapaganamakarang Garomase. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. And pay respects to.
We could pay respects to Luang Paulus today. It's his birthday today.
Pay respects to Luang Por Cha. Today was a little bit disorganized. I'm not sure if there was anybody to request the 5 precepts. Okay, there is. Okay, we can commence with the taking of the 5 precepts. page 126. Anybody interested?
Mayang Pante Ti Saranena Saha Panca Sila Niyajama Tuttiyampi Mayang Pante Ti Saranena Saha Panca Sila Niyajama Tatiyampi Mayang Pante Ti Saranena Saha Panca Sila Niyajama.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dhammang saranang gacchāmi. Sanghang saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchāmi. Ti sarana kamanang nititang. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given. Kame sumichachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct. Musawada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from lying. Sura meraya mada pamadatana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to carelessness. Imani pancha sikkhapadani silena sugating yante silena boga sampada silena nibbuteng yanti tasama silang visodhye. pass it over to Luang for the morning reflection. Go till 9:45. We have on the schedule going till 9:45 instead of 9:30.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Welcome. And yes, this is our final day of the 9 days of Dhamma, 25 years of Abhayagiri, honoring our elders, and certainly today is Ajahn Chah's birthday, June 17th, and so it's a particularly special day to recollect Ajahn Chah and that sense of honoring the elders who have, of course, even for most people who are here, never got to meet Ajahn Chah in person. A few people did, but still, people, say everybody here, has been influenced by Ajahn Chah or has received kind of a inspiration, direction, support in Dhamma practice because of Ajahn Chah, and to be able to take this day and to recollect with a certain sense of gratitude, respect, and to dedicate our practice, fruits of our practice, for in commemoration. And similarly, of course, that's just these past days of recollecting the Abhayagiri and the establishing of Abhayagiri as a place, but Abhayagiri also as a group of people, monastics and lay people, and Abhayagiri as a principle of creating a refuge of security and safety within the heart. So it's many different levels. But today in particular, being a day of we can particularly recollect Luang Cha, and as say Kathy was recollecting in her mentioning in her closing comments, the sense of gratitude, support, and the say an event like this, a place like this, doesn't come to be without the involvement, commitment, um, generosity and effort of many, many people. And I think that is something that, say, Ajahn Chah in particular would be very happy to see, because that was certainly a focal point of his teaching and training, was development of community and practicing together as community, relying on each other as community. So I think it's something that, say, if Ajahn Chah would have been alive at 103 years old, which is what he'd be today, I think he'd be incredibly happy that say Abhayagiri is existing and is to a certain degree thriving, and thriving because of people who are willing to practice, to train, to give, to share, and it's those human qualities and human participation that makes a monastery, well, makes anything really. I mean, that's whether it's an institution or an organization. It's all about people. Ajahn Chah only ever came to America one time, 1979, and when he was here, he was. This is when he was in Seattle, and people there, lay people, Thai people, and kind of asked him if he could help to establish a monastery, and his response was sort of like, not yet, another 20 years, which is, I mean, the monastery was established Abhayagiri was established 1996, so not quite 20 years. So. But I think his blessings still go with us. So just thinking of how to both draw close to the legacy of Ajahn Chah and to help to support it into the future. And of course, that relies on our practice, our how we live our lives, and that's what Ajahn Chah would always focus on. Like I remember him saying, if you want to, and this particularity to the monks, but it applies to everybody else. He said, if you want to build a monastery, keep your sila, keep your virtue, keep your integrity. Have that integrity of conduct. If you want to do anything, you want to accomplish anything, you want to lay it on that foundation of one's integrity and commitment to what is according to Dhamma, what is kind of right, what is true, what is appropriate according to the nature of things. So whether we undertake things on a communal level or we undertake things on a personal level, Ajahn Chah's encouragement to always come back to making sure our foundations are solid, and then we can attend more clearly to developing the refinements of the path when our both our values, our commitment is really solid and clear. And thinking of Ajahn Chah, I mean, he was a kind of a wonderful both storyteller and was able to really use imagery, similes to illustrate Dhamma. and remember one time him saying, again, just emphasizing the need to clarify, what are we doing in this human life? What's really important? And of course, practicing Dhamma, living according to the principles of Dhamma is the most important. He said, but it's easy for us to get distracted, to get caught up, and to miss the point or miss the opportunity for practice, or just misconstrue the whole thing, looking at our life through the lens of our desires, our attachments, our clinging. And he said, we're not that different from chickens sometimes. He said chickens just, they're born and they scratch around, spend their day scratching around looking for food, and they go to bed at night and get up the next day and scratch around looking for food and looking for insects, and that's how they spend their time, and not really reflecting on what's important, what's necessary, what's truly useful for freedom of the heart. And he said, and oftentimes it's not just that whole humdrum kind of going through the motions of life. He says, but we oftentimes just get lost and it's like a chicken gets born. The farmer throws out rice for it, and the chicken is sort of, oh, isn't that farmer really nice? Isn't he wonderful? He's looking after me, and everyone, and they just eat up the food and eat up that rice, and days and nights pass by, and from time to time the farmer picks them up and oh, isn't that farmer nice? He wants to hold me, wants to sort of be close to me. And he says, and really all the farmer's doing is lifting up. Is he heavy enough yet to go to market? Is he heavy enough to be eaten yet? And the chicken's clueless. He just keeps sort of happily eating whatever the farmer gives him, and just hangs out And it isn't until he's finally sort of, okay, and picks him up and he says, yeah, okay, he's nice and fat now. You can send him off to market, and then it gets sort of sent off, and the chicken is, oh, isn't this wonderful? This is a nice adventure. We can go out on a car ride now. Get on the back of a truck and go off. And it isn't. Said it isn't until he gets to the market and the butcher's got the knife to his neck that he finally figures it out, and then by then it's too late. And that is human existence. It's kind of like that. People live their lives going through the motions, keeping themselves busy, keeping themselves distracted, and then they die, and then they do it all over again. So it's Ajahn Chah giving that plea for living life mindfully, living life with heedfulness, living life carefully, making good use of this human existence, and in particular, of course, cultivating really wholesome qualities of generosity and kindness, and with a sense of sharing and empathy towards one's fellow human beings, but also paying attention to how to free the heart, how to liberate the heart, how to bring this heart of ours to a place of peace. And he said it's not all that and it's a really important point that Luang Por Chah makes, in the sense that in the same way that we can personalize or get caught up in our personal story about our lives, or we can personalize our spiritual practice, or how we conceive of our minds, that I have to make my mind peaceful, and I've got to get rid of these defilements in order to achieve or attain this particular level of peacefulness and insight. And he said, really, the heart is already peaceful. We don't see it, we don't understand it, we don't recognize it. It's to be able to, he said, in the same way that in the forest, the leaves of a tree are already still. They're already steady. But it's the wind blows this way, that way, and the leaves flow back and forth. And he said, that's the same with our minds. Our mind is intrinsically peaceful, it's intrinsically steady and clear, and it's our moods that move. It's our sense impressions that we get caught up in. It's our proliferations of expectation or fear and worry that move. It's not, the mind is already still, it's already clear. And just learning how to trust in that, learning how to return to that, learning how to discern what's the difference between the moods of the mind and the mind itself, the fundamental mind. And this is such an important piece of our training and reflection and investigating, so that we're able to realize that we do have a refuge within us all the time. Of course, these teachings, these practices are a foundation that allow us to kind of recognize or separate out. And he said, another image that he uses, he said it's like at the seashore, there's, of course, at the sea, there's waves come in, and whether it's small waves or big waves, the waves come in, they hit the shore, and they go back out into the ocean. And he said, in the same way that say we have to make our mind like the shore, that is steady, that is ready to receive whatever wave comes. And he said, and we receive. How we do that is through our mindfulness and awareness, but also our understanding of whatever kind of wave comes in. It is impermanent, it's unsatisfactory, it is not self. So whether it's a big wave, a small wave, it's a slow wave, it's a fast wave, it is received as the shore receives the waves of the sea. And it's with this clear seeing of just those fundamental truths of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self. And it's not, of course we do rely on a certain intellectual analysis, but we take it to a deeper level of seeing clearly. And of course that's what our whole practice of Sila, Samadhi, Panya, our whole practice of virtue, of mindfulness, of investigation, is to be able to lay that foundation of clarity so that we can be this sort of firm shore that is able to receive our experience that we have, and we're going to experience things that we like and we dislike, that we want and that we don't want, that we accept or don't want to accept, we find unacceptable. And we can still see it in the light of these fundamental truths. And that's where our refuge is, that's where our steadiness is, that's where our well-being truly is. So it's the peace that is able to receive everything, but it's not peace that is kind of forced on us. It arises out of clear seeing. So just reflecting, and in particular, like today being Ajahn Chah's birthday, an opportunity to recollect with a sense of gratitude, but then say Ajahn Chah would always sort of say, as well, even the Buddha. So if you want to say, as the Buddha said this, if you want to honor me not with praise or anything of it. Honor it with your practice. Honor it with your living a life of Dhamma. That is the way to honor. And Ajahn Chah, similar. He would always, if you want to do something, do the practice, and that's an appropriate, and that's in the scriptural language is pati puja. So that because often like pujas are like offerings or celebrations or say the religious ceremony, religious practice, but it's doing the pujas through the practice. putting the practice into our daily life. And so that, today is a day to do that. And we'll spend the morning, and then later this afternoon we'll be having an ordination. So you can take the rest of the morning to sit quietly.
Okay, so we'll transition to the walking meditation. For people who are here, we'll do one last forest walk. And actually, we'll probably go a little bit longer than half an hour for that. I said half an hour on the schedule for today, but the monks are on alms round, monastic communities on alms round today, and that means they'll be back a little bit later. So what we'll do is we'll do the walking meditation until 10:30, and then do sitting meditation until 11, because the bowl setup won't actually happen until everybody gets back. So anybody who'd like to do walking meditation not on the trails can do it here in the cloister area, or people can keep sitting as well if they like. And so we'll take a short break. And for anybody who'd like to do the forest walk, we'll meet at the bell tower and come back at 10:30. continue our sitting meditation period. This will be the last sitting meditation of the 9 days of Dhamma retreat. And we'll sit until 11. Ring the bell and we'll do a bowl setup at that time. So we've ended a little bit later. The monks are on alms round. I don't know. I don't think they're back yet. They usually get back just after 11. And so once they return, then the food will still have to be sorted and offered. So it'll be probably be 11:10, 11:15, something like that. And on our last forest walk, we saw a king snake, a nice gift, a large one too, a big one, 4 or 5 feet long.
Oh,
Yeah, it was on the trail. It was right. It was the right place to stop and turn around.
he was down there enough to, enjoyable for this morning.
Naga quality sized. Yeah, it was thick and healthy looking, basking in the warm weather in a sunny patch on the trail. She videotaped. I was chanting I did the chanting for it, and then it crawled into a hole right next to it. It's like sea tong. Oh. Maybe 4 feet long, possibly 5 feet. Yeah. You can show people after. Yeah. Good, auspicious for Luang Por Cha's birthday. And the retreat actually will end after, the Zoom retreat will end after the ordination today, so probably about 4:30 p.m., roughly about there. We'll still have evening puja, but it'll just be live streamed on YouTube. It won't be on Zoom. We'll set the 7 p.m. normal lunar observance day, evening puja. And just because commemorating for Luang Por Cha, we'll do some readings from Luang Por Cha this evening instead of a Dhamma talk. So it'll be the 7 p.m. meditation, taking of the 8 precepts, and then the reading a Dhamma talk from Luang Por Cha, and then the vigil will be optional for any of the diehards who can't wait to stay up all night on the lunar observance day. Then that'll be an option if people want to. There's interesting animals and insects that come out in the summertime here. At night, when it's warm during the night, there's a particular type of scorpion that we have here. And I really think it's like a forest animal, and it doesn't have a stinger on it. It's a tailless scorpion. It has pincers, but it doesn't have the stinger, so they're quite harmless. You'll see them on the sidewalks here in the cloister area at night, and they're called wind scorpion. So they're kind of strange and a bit scary looking, but they're actually harmless. I think. I've never tested one. I've never seen, maybe it could bite you or something, but they don't have a tail. They can't sting you. we also have, and I don't know how these things come out when it's really hot, but these giant toads, you would think that those come out more than when it's raining, but they seem to appear when it's hot. At night they'll come out, and sometimes you'll accidentally bump into one walking on the sidewalk, or they'll be sitting next to the door of the Dhamma hall. And I can remember being out in a tent in the forest, 2018, and it was very, very hot. It had been like one of these heat waves where it's over 100 degrees every day for a couple of weeks, and at night, or actually the evening, and it was still very hot in the evening, and in front of my tent there was something bumping the front of my tent, and I thought it was some sort of animal pawing at the front of the tent. And I wasn't camping near any streams, or there kind of is a ravine with a stream that almost never has water in it, kind of next to where I was camping, but no moisture nearby. And I looked out, and it was one of these giant toads, and it was hopping up against the edge of the tent, causing the tent to be disturbed on the front. And I don't know how those things exist when it's really, really hot like that. It's one of the mysteries of our forest. Looks like the community's returned from alms round. But not quite yet.
There's a new stop.
Oh, there's a new stop.
Yeah, Media Gardens restaurant, a lady from
In Ukiah.
Ukiah,
Oh.
City of 10,000 Buddhas.
Uh-huh. Amida Gardens restaurant. In fact, the monk who just handed me my bowl is actually staying at the site where that giant toad, where I had that encounter with the giant toad. There's all sorts of animals at that site. The Ajahn tent site. So that's another story. That story hasn't been told yet. The story of the Civil War tent. Ajahn was offered an old Civil War tent, which he set up at this particular tent site where the previous occupants of the land had a certain type of garden there, and it was a very big flat area deep in the forest, and so he set up this Civil War tent there. So we've always called it the Ajahn tent site. Very, very good campsite in a very wild part of the forest. And for myself, I had mountain lion encounter there as well. There's actually a trail that the mountain lions seem to frequent there. Bears also.
What is the Civil War tent?
A Civil War tent is a thick canvas tent like you would think of as some Civil War general setting up and doing his briefings or whatever, getting ready for battle. So it was actually a Civil War era tent, I believe, that was offered. Maybe Lumpur knows more about that. Eventually we repurposed the canvas for other things, like the poles. It was like wooden poles or something. It was stored under the straw bale for the longest time. Do you know the origins of that Civil War tent that Ajahn Amaro was using?
Oh. Somebody gave it to us.
Somebody sort of dropped it on us.
I can't remember what the like who the person was or what the what the story behind it was actually. Of course, that's the case of many things that happened that long ago.
Well, I think I tried to set it up. I couldn't figure it out. It was really very, very old and hard to figure out. There was no instructions.
No, I mean it really was kind of a real old-timey tent.
Yeah. Then living at that site for one period of time, there was also Ajahn Yatiko had a humongous tent that he left here.
Mm.
It was a 3-room, like 16-foot by 12-foot tent or something, and I thought I had the idea it'd be like having a kuti out there if I could set that tent up out there. But then it rained, and it turned out it wasn't. The rainfly wasn't waterproof.
Yeah, that's a problem with tents. I mean, rain. It's oftentimes they get soaked, and then as soon as the sun comes out, then it just heats up. It's a little oven,
There's one tent also that Kondanyo offered. It was his tent that he owned as a layperson. A really, really high quality tent, a really expensive, lightweight, and that was the tent I was using when I thought there was a high wind one night. But then I looked outside of the tent and there was no wind at all. And only a few days later did I see the rip marks in the rainfly from mountain lion claws.
Mountain lion claw.
It jumped up on the tent when I was in it. And but when I looked out, it was gone, so it must have run away or hid or something. And I was walking around, and it must have been hiding. And I felt some fear when I thought about that later, because it was right there when I was walking around, but it was hiding. But the way you can tell the mountain lion claws from the bear claws is the bear claws are very dull, so when they rip something, it rips along the seams, like it just tears.
Yeah.
But the mountain lion claws are sharp like razors, and they can go in curves. And that's how it was. About as big as my hand, 4 claws, like that. So that particular tent has some history now, because then we fixed it. We fixed those claw marks. That was the rainfly, and we fixed it with some silicone, clear silicone. And then later on, a year or two after that, Ajahn Jivako was using that tent. He decided he wanted to live up at the ridge, up at our well. He likes to live extremely far away at extremely difficult to walk to places. And so he was walking up to the ridge every day, and it just so happened that he didn't go up one day, and that tent was left overnight without him in it, and a bear tore it again, but this time it was a bear, and it tore the screen, the front screen. And the reason it did that is he had some ground coffee in the tent, and the bear was going after the ground coffee. And so this bag of coffee was like outside of the tent and torn, and there was it was like bite marks in the bag, and then the coffee was spilled around. He just wanted a cup of coffee.
It's like the time that Ajahn Achalo was staying in a tent in the early years. He was staying at the kuti site that I'm in now. Yeah. And he was staying in a tent, and he had an apricot-scented candle inside the tent. And while he was away, a bear came and clawed through the tent and left teeth marks on the candle.
Yeah, he was very disappointed.
Very disappointed.
Very disappointed bear. The tent was trashed.
Ajahn Achalo recently told me that story, actually. He said
Oh,
he
really?
went back to his tent, and he said he thought it had been attacked by some sort of demon. And he said everything was torn apart, and the head was bitten off of his Buddha Rupa.
Oh.
He said, and he thought that's why he thought it was some sort of like demon or something that attacked his tent and
Some
was
malevolent-
unhappy with the Dhamma.
Some malevolent
Dislikes the Dhamma.
Yeah.
But then actually it was a bear going after the scented candle, and it just tore everything apart. So you're not supposed to have scented and attractive things in the tent. You're living in the forest.
Yeah, any kind of food smells, they're after it.
Yeah, it was Tansu Hajo as well. He was staying at the outpost, our farthest away tent site, and when he wasn't there one night, the bear went and bit into the hand sanitizer. It went after his hand sanitizer.
Any kind of smell, His mouth was clean after that.
He just, it's like mouthwash for the bear.
Even coffee, they like it. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very curious. They tend to not go near if there's a person there. They'll wait until you're not there.
How big it is, Ajahn?
The bear? The bears are quite big. They're black bears. Standing on all fours, they could be, maybe 3 or 4 feet tall or something. Yeah.
Like this?
Oh no, bigger than that. Bigger than that. Yeah, bigger than that.
Bigger than human, person.
They're
Well,
not
it depends
huge.
if you're going
They're-
wide.
Yeah,
A human that wide, yeah, they're big. But that's how long
Yeah.
a bear is.
they're not like grizzly bears, but they're big enough. So I've seen them like driving the DV up to the ridge. I've seen them run across the road, a mother and a baby. They're actually quite interesting looking. They're quite beautiful. They're black, but they'll have like a white snout.
I wonder when they have baby, do they mean as a dog? When the dog had the baby, they protect the baby.
Worse.
Or
Yeah.
spare as a sin.
Worse.
Worse.
Oh yeah, you don't want to get between a
You
bear
don't
and
wanna
its
get-
young.
yeah.
If you see
Yeah.
the baby, just
Yeah.
okay.
And the kind of unnerving thing is the babies are super playful. So even when they see a human or something, they might actually want to play with you, but the mother won't like that. So don't sort of like start playing with a baby bear if it tries to play with you.
Hmm?
Chanting that works against bears. No, Ajahn Mun, I think, even said that, he was more afraid of bears than of tigers. They're more unpredictable. But that Virupa Kehi chant, the one for the snake, is also for all animals. It's metta for 4-footed, many-footed, no-footed, 2-footed, all the different classes of animals. That one also apparently works against centipedes. Satapadi is centipede in Pali.
Yeah, that's good luck.
Against a centipede.
Yeah, they're just
Nothing works against them.
they're just not very bright.
How about what sort? Nokyu.
Oh,
Yeah, peacocks.
Is that protection?
Can't remember what it's protection for. The peacock's protection.
I've never heard what that's for. I just
Yeah.
go by the meaning of it. It's like, may I survive the day, may I survive the night. It's just like general, it's something you would generally want to chant in the monastery. So if the intention you sort of make every morning, may I just get through this one day.
I've read about Thai monks going out into the forest to work with deer and gather and tigers. Is that a practice that's done here?
Yeah, I would say so. Like, you know, oftentimes it'll be, how do you say, there might be a few different reasons as to, like even right now, there's at least a couple, 2 or 3 of the people living here who are out on the gloats of these umbrellas or tents in the forest, and it's a mosquito net and umbrellas, and then it's it's a way of just really simplifying, but it's also you're really out in the elements, so you really hear every little animal that goes past, and they're and yeah, late at night, little sounds can sound pretty big. Okay.
Yeah, it was like that toad. It was like, and it was just this thing. It was just hopping in the leaves, but it sounded like these huge footsteps. Thought maybe there was a bear like pawing at the tent.
Last night I read that book that I showed you.
Yes?
Mentioned that first time thatท่านชยสารโลเทศ and then Luang Pu Chang said that all the monks inside Luang Pu Chang should not write or note down first what to say.
Yes.
What's the reason of that?
Just to speak from the heart. Just speak from the heart, speak from experience. It's just sort of speaking. Yeah, one is rather than sort of sitting down and thinking through, I'm going to say this, and then we're going to, it's like having a big plan of what one's Dhamma talk is going to be about. It's more, speaking from the heart. Also just tuning into, making the mind a bit settled and clear and seeing what might be. You don't think it through, but it's more like what might be useful for other people. So it ends up being a more like say teaching from a place of intuition rather than from a place of intelligent analysis or memorizing, especially from memorization, memorizing something to say.
I told you Joseph was in the room. Joseph, he chatted about Happy Bear with a hit of good caffeine.
Happy bear with a hit of good caffeine.
Yes, this keep those bears going in Abhayagiri, yeah. Sort of have their morning coffee.
But we fixed that tent again. We stitched up the screen door, so now it's got like you can still see all the damage that's been to it, but it's still usable. Yeah, sometimes people even I've heard stories of like memorizing Kruba Ajahn Dhamma talks. So you're going to give a talk, like you memorize a talk from a Kruba Ajahn, like a junior monk might be asked to give a talk at the end of the Vasa. There's this end of Vasa tradition of every monk except the Ajahns giving talks on the Okpansa, on the exiting the rains retreat day. And that can happen. But that usually doesn't go so well. There was a novice, Ajahn Boom had a novice at Bun Lam who they did this with the novices also giving Dhamma talks. So like here on the end of the Vasa, like everybody from all the Anagarkas, the novices, and all the monks up under the Ajahns will give a Dhamma talk. on that day.
Oh.
So this particular novice, he had memorized Ajahn Mahabua Dhamma talk. He was this young novice, this little novice, memorized this talk that he was going to give. And Ajahn Mahabua, for people who don't know, is like the really like fire and brimstone, like kill the defilements, and practice as hard as you can. And he was giving this talk. He's like, all of you aren't practicing. Like, what are you doing? You have to kill the defilements. And he just was giving this talk, and then he just burst into tears. He couldn't handle it himself. He just started crying. Just burst
crying,
into tears.
crying on the Dhamma.
Had to get off the Dhamma seat. So that's another reason why we don't do pre-planned Dhamma talks.
Luang Por, this year is going to be 101 or 102 for Luang Pu Cha.
103.
103 already? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he was born in...
Last year is
No,
Luang Pu
no,
Chatikan.
no. He was born in 1918. He was born in 1918, so this would be 103.
And how old he passed away?
Hmm?
How old when he passed away?
Well, he passed away in 1992, so what, he'd been 73 or something. I think he was 73 when he passed away. Something like that.
91?
Either 73 or 74, because he might have been 74 because he was 73 because he passed away in January.
Yes, right.
It
Because
wasn't
he
his
passed away in
birthday.
January.
So 73.
Yeah, 73. Yeah.
Once the Sangha's together, we'll invite Luang Por to give the blessing.
Oh, yes. Right. Yes. Pratik and Pratik wanted to pay respects, take leave of the... Yeah, they're going to be leaving after the ordination. Yeah, it's wonderful to have you both up here. Pratik, it's been a while since you've been here, so be able to come back again. And you live right nearby, so come on up. Yes, your Brahman roots are coming out. And, yeah, lovely. Okay. Thai is on his way. Thai is there, Sutiko is there. Okay, great. Okay, we'll offer the blessing. And we'll gather again at 2:00 for the ordination. Yattha varivaha pula paripulenti sakarang evameva etotinang petanang upakapate Ichitang matitang tumhang kipameva samichato sape polendu sangapa chandho panara soyatha manicho tira soyatha Samarogo vinasatu Mate bhavad vandalayo Sukhi dikayuko bhava Nambi vadana sili sanichang uta pachayino Jatarlo dhamma vadane Ayuvanno sukhang Balang Bhavatu Sapamangalang Rakhandu Sambadevanda Samba Buddhanubhavena Sanda Sote Bhavandute Bhavatu Sapamangalang Rakhandu Sambadevanda Samba Dhamma Nubhavena Sanda Sote Bhavandute Bhavatu Sapamangalang Rakhandu Samadevanda Samba Sangha Nubhavena Sanda Sote Bhavandute.
So we'll play the slideshow one last time and have that going till about 1. And for anybody who wants to take the meal and watch the slideshow on the screen outside, they're welcome to. And at 1, we'll have to unplug it and get ready for the ordination setup. And so and then coming back together for the ordination at 2 p.m.